Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Cathedra webinar. We're coming to you live on January 16th, 2025. You are tuning in today for Homelessness in Native American Communities by your instructor, Shelly Tucciarelli. My name is Brooke Warrington. I'm the Training and Development Specialist here at the Native Learning Center, and we're also thrilled that you could join us for today's webinar. If you could just quickly follow along while I read the disclaimer aloud. This webinar provides a summary of fundamental concepts, requirements, and/or procedures within the allotted 90 minutes. The material discussed does not illustrate all possible scenarios that could be applicable. We also have our copyright infringement law pictured here. So just a friendly reminder that the webinar materials are protected by copyright, trademark, trade secret, and other intellectual property laws. When you log on in the future, if you wish to view the recording or you wish to access a PDF of the slides, if you don't download them today, I'm about to put them in the chat for you. You can access all of that in the courses section of the website. And that's where you can also find information for any past webinars you maybe didn't attend live, or perhaps you want to go back and just download the slides. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and put those into the chat really quickly. So moving forward, if this is your first webinar on the platform, just know that anytime we're having a webinar and it's live, you'll log into the website and you'll see that green banner at the top hand like you see, and you'll just be able to join. Excuse me. We do typically ask that you join with listen only because that'll cut down on audio feedback. But during the end of the presentation, if there's a Q&A, you can always rejoin with your mic enabled, and that way you can mute and ask your question then. But you can also ask questions throughout using the chat. We'll get to that in just a second. If you have joined and you found that your sound is not coming out of the correct speaker that you want to be using, you can click on this little phone icon that's on the bottom of your screen. And that'll bring up a list of your microphone devices as well as your speaker devices, and you can choose which one you would prefer to be using. Okay, so we have a few different things you can interact with today. So again, if you joined with your mic enabled, we just ask that for now you mute it so it can cut down on any audio feedback for our instructor. I had mentioned the chat several times, so I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the link to today's presentation slides. If anybody is wanting to follow along, you can click on this link and you can open up a copy for yourself. And there are other helpful links that are in that shared notes section. I have a link to today's webinar feedback survey. We're going to play a video for you in a minute, so there is a link to that video, but I'm going to play it here on the platform as well. You can register for our weekly newsletter so you know when the webinars are going to be happening that you can join. And I also have the bookmarks so that you can log into the website easily in the future. I'm going to put that into the chat now as well. Tanisha, if it's saying connection failure, I would try just exiting the call and logging back in and seeing if you're greeted with the same error message. All right, folks. While we're getting ready, if you could go ahead and just introduce yourselves into that chat. You can let us know your name, where you're joining us from, your work or your role in Indian country, and your tribal affiliation. And while y'all are doing that and introducing yourselves into the chat, I am going to go ahead and hand it off to our instructor, Shelly. And just a final note, folks, if you click on this red menu panel that's all the way to the left-hand side of your screen, you might have yours expanded to say the words. You might just see the little icons if yours is skinnier. But if you click on that, it will pull you out of this webinar room that you're in now. So just a heads up, if you click on that, it's going to take you to wherever you've clicked on the website, but you can just easily rejoin by clicking on that green banner once again. All right, sorry guys, it won't always be this long, but while we're also kind of getting the hang of this new system. All right, it is with great pleasure I introduce your webinar instructor for today, Shelly Tucciarelli. And Shelly, I am going to hand it off to you now. Go ahead and make you presenter.
All right. Thank you so much, Brooke. I really appreciate it. I'm having a little internet, some issues a little bit, but I'm going to keep my camera on for a little while until I see if it's necessary for me to take it off. But just good afternoon, everyone. I just want to thank you for joining us. Let's start with a prayer. I want to give thanks to our Creator for bringing us together today. We have so much to be thankful for. Give us strength and hope to carry us through. Together, we can accomplish many great projects and programs for our communities. Please watch over us and get us through this journey that we call life. In Jesus' name, amen. I'd also like to thank Georgette Palmer and her wonderful staff for all the great programming they are doing at the Native Learning Center. These webinars and conferences are great information to help our Native American communities thrive. I would also like to thank them for providing me the opportunity to be the instructor. As Brooke mentioned, I'm Shelley Tuzzarelli, and I want to start out by introducing myself. So I want to let everyone know that I am a proud member of the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin. My reservation is up near Green Bay. We have the Bear Clan, the Wolf Clan, and the Turtle Clan. And my family's part of the Turtle Clan and was the inspiration for my company name. I am the owner of Turtle Clan Development Services. It's a Native American woman-owned small business that I started in 2013. The mission of our company is through training and technical assistance like this training to help tribal members and leaders to increase the quality and quantity of affordable housing and to develop or expand economic development and programs in their community, especially addressing issues like homelessness. I'm also the co-founder and executive director of Visionary Ventures NFP Corporation. Our nonprofit is a Native American nonprofit 501c3 with an over 51% Native American board of directors and an advisory board with over 51% Native American members. Our mission is to work with community members to advocate and promote affordable housing, economic development, and services to the Native American communities. In providing these opportunities, it helps to bring stability and hope to individuals and families. Previous to starting my own company and working with Visionary Ventures, I worked for over 20 years with Illinois Housing Development Authority, and they are the agency that finances affordable housing for the entire state of Illinois. I worked in the low-income housing tax credit department and actually managed the program for several years, and I've been in affordable housing for over 33 years, and I understand how important it is to have a stable home environment for our community members. Visionary Ventures is a member of the Chicago American Indian Community Collaborative, and I serve on their executive board. Our collaborative is an organization of 16 different Native American organizations that's really helping to uplift our community members here in Chicago. It's important because in being in an urban setting, we have a lot of different needs than sometimes being on a reservation where you have those services provided for you. Our collective received our first homeless grant, and part of their grant was outreach and advocacy for our Native American community. The grant was from the Chicago Funders Together to End Homelessness. The director of the organization referred me to take part in the WTTW's firsthand talks on homelessness. This session will give a little bit of history of Native Americans in Illinois and homelessness in our community. Brooke, if you want to go ahead and start the presentation.
Okay, I'm going to keep.
Okay, everyone, I know it was a little hard to hear, but again, Brooke is going to have that presentation in the that you can download, available for download, because it does give a lot of information about history of Native Americans in Illinois. And one of the things that, I'm really proud to be an advocate for our urban Native community here in Chicago, and being able to continue to, fight for our causes and be able to address these issues is so important. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh, there's Native Americans that live in Illinois. It's just amazing to me that people just don't realize that we are here. I guess because there's that major misconception that all Native Americans live on reservations, but really the reality of it all is that only 30% of Native Americans live on reservations, and the other 70% live in urban and suburban areas. And as I had mentioned, that in the session is that the Treaty of 1833 really removed the majority of Native Americans out of Chicago and Illinois in general. And so it really wasn't until the 1950s during the urban Native relocation that the Native Americans were coming back to the cities. It was their the urban relocation was, bringing they wanted to bring Native Americans into all the large cities like Chicago, Milwaukee, Phoenix, Oakland, San Francisco, and, many other of the large cities. They had that, there was a big campaign and brochures, showing that, there's housing and there's jobs and, come to the big cities for opportunities. And a lot of times, many tribal members were given $100 and a one-way bus ticket to the cities. And when they got there, there really was no jobs, or very few jobs, very few housing, and no services. And again, that is really why the American Indian Centers were developed across the country to help provide those services for our community members. And a lot of our community members at that time became homeless because some didn't want to go back to the reservations, and then finally did get some jobs. So it was being able to, there was a really big homelessness for our community at that time. So being able to provide those services were really necessary. Again, here in Illinois, we service about 150 to 175 different tribal nations. So it's important that we provide those services. That UIC report, the Adversity Resiliency for Chicago's First, it's the State of Racial Justice for American Indian Chicagoans. This report really was instrumental in helping us to, once I brought it to the Department of Housing, and again, they were looking at all of the housing developments that they had done throughout the city over the past 25 years. It was, so it was, at the time, it was Marissa Navarro. She was our commissioner of housing, and Cindy Soto was the deputy commissioner, and reached out to our community to say, we realized that we've not done any housing for the Native community, and we really want to help. And so that is really how everything started to process at that time. Again, one of the things that was determined through this report was that, over 60% of the Native Americans living in Chicago are renters. And of those renters, 50% of them are rent burdened. And that means they're really living paycheck to paycheck. And, anything that could happen, a car accident, a medical situation, layoffs, anything that could happen would really cause a family or an individual to become homeless. And again, it's hard to determine homelessness in our community because, if a family member offers us a place to stay, or we stay with friends for a while until we get on our feet, we really don't consider ourselves homeless. So it's hard to calculate those numbers. So it's hard for us to actually find funding for this. So we're very lucky that we were able to get the grant that we did. And again, nobody knows homelessness and displacement more than our Native American community from, being removed from our homelands. A lot of us are not, our reservations aren't on our original homeland. So we really do understand the true meaning of homelessness. Again, if Brooke, I think she's going to also provide the link for the UIC report. Pam Silas and my cousin and I, she's also the chairwoman of the Visionary Ventures. We co-authored the housing commentary in the report. So if you want to download that, it's really interesting some of the points that were found during this report. This next slide is when Mayor Lightfoot, she had a press conference to announce our project. Our project was one of 26 developments that were awarded to move to this next phase of production. So we were very happy to be able to move forward with our project. This was actually, in December of 2023. Developments December of 2021, developments in the city of Chicago take so long. So we were, and then in between all that, once it was announced, then there was a mayoral change. So again, you throw that into the mix and it just causes everything to be delayed. The leadership changed at the Department of Housing, but it didn't stop us. We just kept moving forward. We knew that one of the main ways to really help with homelessness for our community members was to develop some affordable housing. And again, we've been fighting for housing for over 50 years at this point. And we all know that there's a housing crisis in the United States, and there's been a housing crisis in all of our reservation communities. There's just been a really crisis for affordable housing. So one of the things that we really felt that we needed to do for our community was to develop affordable housing. We know Minnesota and Phoenix and a few other major cities have been doing a great job for many years. But again, our main issue in Illinois was that we didn't have any federally recognized tribal nations. And as I mentioned in the session, that the Potawatomi, Prairie Band of Potawatomi have finally become recognized in Illinois. And I'm going to discuss that a little bit later in the presentation. Now I just want to show a couple of renderings of our beautiful project that's in the works. This is one of the renderings. And here's one other rendering. We worked with a linguist from the Pokagon Band of the Potawatomi, and we named the development Jigzabek, which means at the river's edge, because we're only a few blocks from the Chicago River. And as you can see from the front of the building here, our architect is going to be developing the project with the blue bricks to give that illusion of river flowing through the front of the building. And then also it shows the north and the south branch of the Chicago River. So we're very excited about how it came out. And from this, you can kind of see how it also is going to flow down and actually go right into the lobby of the building. So with the blue is going to flow right into there. And we're also going to have area for art for our Native American community to bring some art from our community members into the development. So we're in the lobby area and then also up on the 7th floor. I also told our architect, Jaime, he owns Canopy, which is our architect. And I told him when we first started developing this project, I said, I'm expecting an award-winning development. And he told me, he's like, yeah, no pressure, Shelley, but you know what? He has really come through. I'm very excited to see how the building has come out. Canopy and the architect, they have really put a lot of time and effort into this project and really listened to our community. One of the things that I learned early on when I was working at Illinois Housing Development Authority is that you have to have a great development team in order to make any of these low-income housing tax credit projects be successful, because they are a lot of hard work. The development team that we put together is Visionary Ventures, working with Full Circle Communities. Full Circle Communities is also they're a large nonprofit developer working in the city of Chicago. And I actually sat on their board for over 6 years. So I saw the tremendous and beautiful projects that they brought on and how they work with their residents, bringing in services. Of course, once we joint venture together, I had to come off the board, but I'm so happy and this project has been so rewarding that wasn't a problem for me. I prefer to be on this side. One of the most unique aspects of Full Circle Communities is that they, part of their mission is that they dedicate 75% of all of their income to services for their residents. You really can't develop affordable housing without providing those necessary services. Every project is different and what is needed. And so we really have to develop our services, for our Native American community. Full Circle they don't provide the direct services. What they do is wherever they go, whatever community they go into, they work with the nonprofit organizations in that community. Full Circle also provides their own on-site property management. So one of the things that we're doing is for the commercial space, we're working with California Indian Manpower Consortium to take that commercial space. And we're also working with California Indian Manpower to find a community member and to do property to be the property manager and also to be a maintenance person on site. So what we want to do is work with Full Circle Communities to possibly have those tribal community members work at another property as our project is being constructed. And when our property is done, we'll bring those community members on for our development, because we really do want to hire community members to work with our residents. Another thing, again, I said working with Canopy and Full Circle, we all have similar missions, and that's really something that you have to think about as you're working through developments like this. One of the things is we started out, we had several community meetings, because you can't build something for your community without understanding some of the wants and needs for your community. And then one of the first things is, that strong connection to nature. And one of the other things that came out of our community meetings is that a lot of our children are maybe the only student in their class. So this way, when we have all of these, 45 units, and we have some 3 bedrooms. So all these families, that their children will all be going to the same school. So they will have that connection to other children, Native American children in the community. So that was something that really we wanted to address. And we've already reached out to the school that our children will be going to let them know that we will be bringing in more students. And they were very receptive and very, they said that in this area, actually, that their students have been in the decline, because a lot of the buildings that were like 2 and 3 flats are now becoming single family homes. So they were really happy that we reached out, and very happy to be able to have our children going to the school. So that was one of the big things that we did through our community meetings. And also our community has a strong connection to nature, and having the rooftop gardens and native plants throughout the roof, and also to have the garden beds that the residents can work with is going to be very important for us. We actually are, like I was saying before, we're having a green roof and we went and looked at a few other green roofs in the Chicago area, and it's phenomenal. We just really are looking forward to being able to have that on our roof. And also we're probably going to be working with some of our residents to see if they want to help keep the roof maintained, because that's something that I think would be a great amenity for our residents. Next thing is, being able to incorporate the design theme. We used different types of colors, and the canopy, the architect was taking a look at the vibrant colors of the regalia, and so a lot of things that we really wanted to put into this, again, like the facade with the Chicago River flowing through, and making sure that the amenities and the features of the building were really good for our community. Some spaces that we can have cultural events outside, upstairs on the 7th floor, and also space for, we've got one space up on the 7th floor for, it's a craft multi-purpose room, because we know a lot of our community members have that side hustle. They're doing beadwork and they're making regalia. So instead of it being all over their kitchen table, they'll be able to have that space to be able to come up. And then again, that interaction with the other residents in the building is going to be very beneficial. And culturally responsive, supportive approach. One of the things that we had to do as part of this building and working in the city of Chicago and working with the Enterprise Green initiatives, we had to put together a health action plan. And we all know since COVID how important it is for health and housing, that connection, to be able to have a stable housing environment, how important that is. So we worked with a Native American group, Wolf River Consulting, to produce the health action plan, and it's helped us drive some of our initiatives moving forward. And we're going to also continue working on that health action plan as we open our development and have a letter of our memorandum of understanding with the American Indian Health Center to bring services over for our residents, either monthly or quarterly, and then also how we can make sure that our residents have access to getting over to the health center also. Here is our site. It's right now a blighted, vacant lot. So we are, with that rendering, once we bring our building to this spot, it's on a Irving Park Road, which is a very active road in Chicago, and it's just this site was. There's a couple of reasons, why we really chose this location. One of the main reasons is close proximity to the American Indian Center, and because there's a lot of community programming. They have the powwow, they have services that they provide for our community. We have St. Kateri Center that's just about 5 or 6 blocks on Irving Park, and they have our elder and our youth programming. We have the American Indian Health Services of Chicago, which is actually on Montrose, which is only maybe about 7 blocks away. And so it's so important to be able to have all of these services that are so close. And then also we're right on a bus line. We're close to restaurants, stores, also, let's see where else. Stores, and we also are close to Horner Park, which is just about 4 blocks down. And so that's going to be a great area for our residents to venture to, and not that far from the Chicago River also. And again, this is some of the inspirations that Canopy used in order to design the building as they were moving forward. and the close proximity to the river and bringing in some of those elements up to the green roof. And here you can see this is one of our collaborations with the architect and going through some of the initial design elements. And so we really thought it was important that we put this together, you know, that we get together and take a look at things. One of the other things that we did was we also put together, it's a Native American housing, our Native American Community Council that has helped us design the exterior of the building. They had input on the exterior. They had input on the interior of the building, the 7th floor commercials or the 7th floor community space. So we really want to make sure that we're bringing the community into developing this area. Let's go to the next. And here is, again, it's mixed use for the first floor. We do have commercial space, which is one of the requirements of building in the city of Chicago. They like to have some commercial space on that first floor. We are working with the California Indian Manpower Consortium and to take that first floor space. CIMC is a nonprofit that offers training, employment, and other activities that are designed to meet the employment and training needs of our Native American community. CIMC also administers programs designed to promote community self-help activities, assist clients to achieve economic self-sufficiency. They also provide direct services to help alleviate poverty and provide professional economic development services to improve the educational levels for our Native American youth and adults. This is really going to be a great space for them, and it also is going to be great for our residents to be able to access this because they also they have area computers where you can come down and they can help you with your resume. If you need a job, they can help you find jobs in the local area. So this, we're really, we just had conversations with them this week because we're getting closer to closing. So we have a signed letter of interest from CIMC. So everything's really starting to come together. We're very happy that they're going to be part of our development. Here is the levels 2 through 6 of the building. As you can see, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be 45 units, 100% affordable. There's going to be studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, because again, we wanted that intergenerational component to our building. We want to be able to have our, some storytelling, being able to have our youth working with our elders, and being able to access our 7th floor is going to be great. And as you can see, our development isn't boxes. It's not a cookie cutter box development. We really are happy, and we really deserve something that's brand new and beautiful. We deserve this. We're so happy. Here again this is the 7th floor, and you can see up here in the corner is the multi-purpose craft room, where we're going to be able to let our residents have a space to do their beadwork, the regalia work. Another big thing that is very important in our community is a fitness center. Diabetes has really been a challenge for our community. So we want to make sure that we're giving them that opportunity, and maybe even have someone from the Indian Health Services come over and do some classes and some diabetes nutrition classes. We do have a warming kitchen. It's going to be, we can't have events without food in our community. We all know that. It is a full kitchen, but we have to say it's a warming kitchen because we don't want to have to get permits and things like that. So we're looking forward to having great events. You can see here that the community center is going to be, it's large, so we can really hold some great events there. And over here we have gardening. We're going to have a area so that we can have hoses. We can have put all of our things that we need for the up gardens for some of our residents to do. And then also the green roof is going to be all around up on the roof too. So we want to, again, see if we can't get some residents to maintain some of the green roof. And we're working with the Cook County Forest Preserve to bring in some of the natural plants of our community and of the Illinois, what plants are native to this area. So it's going to be an education for all of us to see how this all comes out. So we're very, very excited about that. So our current timeline is our zoning. We had to do an update to our zoning, so that actually got approved through City Council yesterday. The financing is going to be introduced to the City Council in March. And then from there, it's about a 35 to 65 days closing. We're looking at possibly closing in May. And then construction will be starting soon thereafter. So we're already having meetings with our general contractor, and there's a lot of long lead times. So we're already addressing a lot of those long lead times to get this project so that we can be successful and get this thing moving. We're also starting to plan our groundbreaking ceremony. We want to make sure that we have, the mayor there, all of our community residents, the American Indian Center will be there to bless the ground. We're planning on having our drums, our dancers out there to really, this is history in the making. So we really want to celebrate it with our community. Again, here's one of the renderings. We will have to replant some because of construction. We're going to have to take out one of the trees in the front, and then, but in our budget, we have several trees that will be planted here, and then we will also put a couple up on the roof. So we've got that in our plans. Another thing that we did that was very important to our community is to make sure that we're including our youth in the coordination in the planning process of all of this. So because it's a vacant lot, we have a fence that's around the perimeter up in the front there. And we worked with Full Circle and Visionary Ventures worked with St. Kateri Center. They have a youth program, and we worked with them. We said we want to have some art that we can display on the fence until construction starts. So we worked with them for several weeks, and they came up with a really nice plan, and they got the art done. It came in like 4 different panels, and we got it digitized, and we got a nice group together. You can see up there, and we digitized and made panels, and then we were able to put the panels up on the fence. And people just are really commenting on the great work, and they're really great to, it's nice to see that instead of the vacant lot, being able to see the artwork. And again, because we digitized it, we still have the original art, and we're planning to put that up in the community room. And because it's digitized, we can use it for some of our marketing, and we can use it for, different events that we have. And we're also planning to, like I mentioned earlier, working with our community because we have a lot of artists in our community to bring art that's going to be in the development, and also on the west wall on the outside of the building, we're planning to have a mural. So we're going to start, as soon as construction starts, we're going to start working with a few of our artists to see. And again, we want to make sure that we engage the youth to help work on that, the mural on the outside. There are a couple other developments that Visionary Ventures is working on. We were able to do an adaptive reuse of an elementary school, 2 elementary schools, and some new construction in Aurora. And again, we're reaching out to our Native American community to let them know that this affordable housing is available so that we can be able to provide that for our community. This is another project we're working on in Rogers Park. Because of the cost of rent in Chicago, a lot of our community members have gone north and west. And Rogers Park is the furthest north community of Chicago. So again, we will be, we're just starting to put this application into IDA for the State Housing Finance Agency for low-income housing tax credits, but we will be reaching out to our community members on this development also to let them know that there's housing available. One of the main things that we really believe in is advocacy for our Native American community. It's so important. We have, again, I mentioned the Chicago American Indian Community Collaborative. Those organizations are instrumental in helping to provide services and programming for our community. Visionary Ventures is a board member of CAKE, and also I serve on the executive board. And also the National American Indian Housing Council is, I speak sometimes at some of their conferences, and I also volunteer at some of their conferences to help them. And also, again, Visionary Ventures worked with CAKE to put the grant together for our community, and we received $100,000. And what our proposal is on this grant is we're looking to work with a Northwestern Native American graduate student to help put together a report and do research on what the needs are for our community, because we've never had funds before to work with our unhoused. So now we want to really find out what the needs are. And we also we're planning to put together a resources page, a resource of all the resources, because Chicago has a lot of resources for the unhoused. But again, sometimes our Native American community doesn't get reached out to, and we don't have that information on all those resources available. So we want to compile all those resources and put them in one place. I actually, as I mentioned earlier, Cindy Soto, that used to work for the Department of Housing, she has just been hired as Chicago's first chief homeless officer, and they're working on a strategic plan to end homelessness in Chicago. I was asked to sit on the council, and so I'm working with other communities, programs, organizations that have been working on homelessness in the Chicago area for years. So I'm learning a lot of information, and of all of these groups, I'm making sure that they're going to be part of this resource page so that we know how to address this in our community. One of the things that we need to do is, an intake form when somebody calls that has some issues, and we want to find out, what initiatives there are, what are other communities doing to help. So we're using those to build our initiatives and our program. Again, advocacy is really big for our community, and it's so important. If we need to get more of our community members to sit on boards and to sit on committees so that we can find out what sources are available, what's going on in the community. One of the big things we have with our Chicago American Indian Community Collaborative, we worked with the governor's office. It's been about 2 years now, and the governor actually signed 3 bills for our Native American community in Illinois first time ever. So again, being part of these initiatives is so important. One of the first ones that was passed was HB 1633, and it mandates that Native American history be taught in all Illinois public schools from K till 12. Right now it's being taught, that the Native Americans were here and now we're gone. So we're working with the Chicago's and the Illinois school system to put that educational programming together that's going to be mandated to be taught in all schools. I know there are other communities. I know Wisconsin, there's, I think 16 other states have already started these initiatives. So we're very happy to be another state that's making sure that this mandate that Native American history is being taught correctly in our school systems. The other one was SB 1466, dress code policy. What happened here is this is going to allow that culturally appropriate attire can be worn at school ceremonies. And we did not advocate this only for our community. We advocated for all communities that want to have culturally appropriate attire. What happened was one of our school students was graduating from Evanston High School, and he received a eagle feather from his grandfather. And so they put it on his cap, and they also beaded his cap. And one of their policies was that you can't have anything on your cap. But it really meant something for him to have that on his cap. And then also, this is a milestone in our children's lives to be able to graduate high school. So we really celebrate that a lot. We really want to celebrate that, and we want to make sure that our children are graduating high school. So he was going up, very proud, going up to get his diploma. And one of the security guards pulled him out of the line and said, you have to take your hat off or you can't get your diploma. And he refused and went up and sat in the stands with his parents. The next day, of course, the superintendent came to his house and gave him his diploma and apologized. And that was how this bill got started. And we're very impressed with this young gentleman that helped get this bill passed. The other one is the remains, advocacy for the Native American remains that are in all of the different museums and different art galleries and things like that. Those remains and those objects need to be returned to the tribal nations that they belong to. So again, fighting for our communities, whether it's homelessness and all these other things, we need to continue to have a voice and stand up and fight for what we believe is true and good for our communities. This is Mayor Johnson presented a resolution to the City Council for Native American Heritage Month. So that was, being recognized and making sure that we're out there is so important. And we also, Mayor Johnson had the first Native American Heritage celebration for our community. So we're very happy that we can continue to be proud and celebrate our accomplishments. And here, this is what I mentioned earlier, the Prairie Band of the Potawatomi. They have been fighting for over 75 years to get their land back here in Illinois. Some of their tribal members, this is back 175 years ago, some of their tribal members were forced to continue moving on to Kansas. So the chief went to Kansas to make sure that they all got settled in and that everything was good. And when he came back, the government had sold off all of their land. And so they've been fighting for 175 years, and they finally, let me move on here. It was stolen in 1849. So they have spent millions to repurchase their land. And now again, The U.S. Department of Interior is putting part of their land into trust for the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation. So now we have that federally recognized tribal nation here in Illinois, and it's going to be so important as we move forward and continuing to fight for programs for our communities and fighting for more housing. So it's having that tribal nation here is going to make a big difference, we know, in the future. I'm going to leave some time now for any questions. Does anyone have any questions for? You can unmute yourself. I just wanted to bring up a few other things about homelessness in the Chicagoland area. Again, like I had mentioned earlier, there are a lot of programs, and there's a lot of housing. We have some housing organizations. There's about 160 different housing organizations in Illinois that are helping people with renting, with home ownership, but there's not one of those organizations that's working with our Chicago tribal community. So we've been working with Chicago Neighborhood Services. They're going to start working with our community members to help them with these initiatives. One of the things that we found is that we've started a wait list for our housing, and we've got about 65 people on our wait list. But one of the things that we found, and as we mentioned earlier, that there have been so many barriers to housing in our communities that we're really trying to address some of those issues now before the housing gets completed and we start getting our applications from our residents. So one of the things that we want to do is start doing some group trainings on how to be what do we need to do to get our tribal community members ready for to be renters. A lot of times they don't have a state ID because they don't trust the government. So we're going to see if maybe because our tribal IDs are a federal identification, so maybe we can use that in lieu of a driver's license or a state ID. And we also credit is going to be, it always factors in whenever you're trying to get housing. Your credit is part of that. So what we want to do is start working with some of our community members to see where is your credit, what can we do to try and help fix it. Also so another thing that we're working on is that security deposit. A lot of times our tribal members don't have that security deposit that's needed. So we're going to start working with them now to help them start saving, and also maybe do a community fundraiser to help some of our community members that are in most need, to actually help them with their deposit, their security deposit, and whatever else they need in order to get into the new development. Also, moving expenses, we know, is going to be a very moving expenses is something that's going to be needed for a lot of residents. So that's something that we're going to start working on also. I don't know. Are there any questions? I didn't check the, are there any questions?
No one's asked any questions in the chat. Oh, it looks like somebody just sent one in.
Good. Let's see.
More a comment than a question.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, absolutely. As we know, as when you live on your reservation, there are sources and places where you can go to help with housing. But when you're going to urban areas and that, a lot of times you just don't know where to go for that. So again, part of this grant is going to help us with those resources and to let people know where to go. A lot of times the best place to go is if there's an American Indian Center, start there. And they can really help. And a lot of the schools like UIC here in Northwestern, they both have Native American programs that help students that are Native American students that are going there to help them with find housing and find health care and, work with them and getting some, if they're trying to get benefits within the school. So a lot of times you might want to reach out directly to those schools. Some of the other things that we're working on too with this housing grant is what are some of the best things that we can do to help our community members. One of the things that I know was being done at the American Indian Center is that they have backpacks that have a lot of personal hygiene items in there and they're available for if any of the community members come by and need those supplies. And so again, we've also put together a homeless task force for our community. And as soon as we start with this research program and get those results from the research, the housing task force, then we're going to start building our initiatives off of that. Again, we've not had the funds or the ability to address these issues before here in Chicago, and we really want to. One of the other things we wanted to do is work with like Minneapolis, some of the housing programs there, and also Arizona. I went there and I toured some of the properties there and just find out how they're addressing some of these issues with their homeless and unhoused members. So also, bringing in, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. We need to find out that information of what's being done around the country so that we can help our community members. Okay, let's see. Again, one of the other things that we're looking at is when we discuss this with other community members is what are the best practices, putting together what those are and how are they addressing it. Again, the first thing that we were talking about is that intake form. And then also with the city of Chicago and Cindy Soto being the first chief homeless officer, and they just actually opened up a new shelter. So being able to give our community members these resources of where they can go if they're homeless, what are some of the food banks, some of the soup kitchens, and all this information that a lot of times, especially we get a lot of new Native American tribal members coming from all over the country here to Chicago. And we need to give them a place to go, like the American Indian, start at the American Indian Center, complete that intake form. What are the services that you need? So we're really starting to address some of this information, and we really would like to reach out to some of other communities and find out what they're doing. Well, if there's not any questions,
all right, folks, I'm going to keep the webinar open while I close out. So if you do have any questions for Shelly, feel free to send them into the chat. Or if you were somebody who left and then rejoined with your mic enabled, feel free to unmute and you can ask. I have included today's webinar feedback survey into the chat. If y'all could open that and take just a few minutes to complete that for us. It gives us, the Native Learning Center, feedback on how our webinars are doing, what we can improve upon for the future, what's working out really well. It also gives our instructor feedback. They are anonymous, so please be as candid as you would like. We hope that you can join us for our next webinar. That is going to be next week on land use evaluation. This will be with Amy Wilson, who's founder and principal consultant of Sea Renewal. Now that y'all are on the learning platform, you'll just need to log in and there will be a green banner that says Land Use Evaluation Live Webinar, and you'll be able to join that way just like you did today. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific, and 10 a.m. Alaska. You can access today's recording as well as our other recordings on our YouTube channel. There is a Cathedral webinar archive. I have that link in the shared notes, and I will also put that into the chat for you right now. I will also be posting this recording onto the learning platform itself. So if you go through the course, you'll be able to see this tomorrow. It's got to generate first. But we hope you can check out our upcoming events. They're posted to our various social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We have our in-house produced podcast, the Hope a Thing, a Native American podcast. You can catch that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Simplecast, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you are somebody who prefers to actually watch the videos and see the interviews with our special guests, then you can view that on our YouTube channel as well. We really appreciate that you've joined our webinar today. Shelley, thank you again for an incredible presentation. This was extremely informative. You're getting some love in the chat. And everybody, it is recorded. So if you want to recommend this to one of your friends, one of your colleagues, I will be posting that recording tomorrow. So it'll be both on our YouTube channel as well as here on the learning platform within the course itself. I had given you the link to the presentation slides much earlier. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that just in case anybody had joined after I did the intro and you maybe missed that. And then once again, I'm just going to include that webinar feedback survey that we would really appreciate if you can complete for us. Just takes a minute or two and it lets us know what's working and what we can improve upon for the future. But otherwise, it doesn't look like anyone's typing any questions or anything. So I can go ahead and wish everybody a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a great weekend and we look forward to connecting with you really soon. Thank you again, Shelley, for an incredible webinar.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Stopped a little early, but I appreciate it. You can get back to, I know you're all doing wonderful work in your community. So thank you all for joining today. Appreciate it.
All right, folks. Oh, we got somebody typing. I'm going to hang back. Oh, it's, you're getting some love in the chat, Shelley. Just folks saying
thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.
All right. I'm going to end the session, guys. Take care.